Hello. How's it going, everyone? It is the August edition of the Windows Insider Webcast, and we have the full crew here. We're glad to have you with us. As we get started, as usual, I'm going to do a quick audio check. If anyone out there on Twitch could give us a quick thumbs up if you can hear us okay, or at least hear me. I love seeing everybody saying hi in the chat. Yes, okay, great. This is gonna be fun. It was a bummer that we ended up having to cancel last minute last month. That was a bit unexpected. Just in reality, we had a lot going on. I'm sure everybody can understand. So it wasn't something we'd had to do before. But given the circumstances, things happen sometimes. And well, here we are this month, making up for it. So we appreciate you carving the time out of your schedule to come and hang out with us. We always appreciate you being here with us. Hopefully, you can learn a thing or two today. We have a few housekeeping reminders and stuff. I'm kind of reverting back to my old self and made a fancy little PowerPoint that's got a couple slides. And if you saw my teaser tweet earlier, I mentioned something about my paint skills. Hopefully you can pick it out. It was a little something fun I decided to do. It's probably not even going to look that cool, but I'm just actually proud of it because I made it look pretty realistic. So we'll see what happens. Only Eddie knows what it is, so he knows what to pick out. So we'll wait till we get to that part of the PowerPoint, and then y'all can tell me if you've figured out what I managed to put in there. Anyway, let me stop yapping here and let's get on with the round of introductions. As you can probably imagine, the Insider program has seen a few new faces for people that are participating. This whole Windows 11 thing, apparently it's this big exciting thing, and folks are kind of, jazzed to participate and learn more about the program and Windows 11 and what's going to be coming. So, we've seen a few more people sign up and come and decide to hang out and chat with us on social and whatnot. So,
a few more.
Just a couple. So, real quick, because I'm at least hopeful that there are some new faces in the audience. At least I should call them screen names, since we don't actually get to see you, unfortunately. So we'll do a quick round of introductions, just in case there are any new folks out there. Real quick, I'm the host of the webcast. I'm Jason Howard. I'm a senior program manager here on the Windows Insider engineering team. We'll go in kind of clockwise order for the way viewers are seeing this. So Amanda, you are up next.
Hi, everyone. I'm Amanda Langowski. I lead the Windows Insider program on the PM side, and I'm happy to be here today.
What is order?
Yeah, Brandon, you are up next.
I'm Brandon. I work on the Windows Insider program team for Amanda. Jason is a colleague of mine, and I get to write a lot of the wonderful blog posts that we publish for the flights that we put out for insiders, in collaboration with a bunch of other people like Jen and Eddie, etc.
So we're going clockwise. I guess that means I'm up next, right?
Yeah.
The clock goes this way, right?
Yes.
Well, it depends on which way you're looking at the camera, right?
I guess so.
I'm Eddie Leonard. I'm a community manager on the Windows Insider team. I handle a lot of the social media stuff. Some of you may know me as DJ_EddieL on Twitter. Spend a lot of time helping out folks in answers and on all our social media channels. So stop by and say hi.
Hi, I'm Jen. Otherwise known as the only gentleman at Microsoft, formerly one of two, no relation. I am one of the people who manages the incoming feedback. I am also a senior program manager. I don't remember if I was one last time we had our webcast. To be honest, time is a bit of a blur. But yeah, my team owns a lot of the stuff you see when you log into Windows, including the login screen, taskbar, start menu, lots of input stuff, all that jazz. So I am in the weeds looking at all your comments. That's all I had to say.
Excellent. I was just answering a question in chat real quick. Somebody asked me what that music in the intro was. It's actually some in-house music from one of the audio engineers here at Microsoft, to the best of my knowledge. When we decided to revamp the intro, hopefully everybody caught that. Slightly different than before. You know, with Windows 11, we decided to jazz things up a little bit, and you know, we've been using the same intro for years at this point. So hey, what better point in time to make a little bit of an adjustment? And so it came to picking out and was like, did we want to license music? Did we want to create something? And lo and behold, you know, we just we ended up going internal, and we had a bunch of options. Eddie and I spent a lot of time listening to audio clips, and you know,
Some were good, some not so good.
yeah, they were kind of all over the place. We had lots of options. I'll just put it that way. So we picked out the top few, and you know, we ran it past the right folks, and this is where we ended up. So hopefully you like it. Hopefully you enjoy it. So let's get down to business here. This month's webcast, we know that since the initial release of the preview builds of Windows 11, there have been lots of questions, and there's been lots of feedback. As part of that, one of the things that we wanted to do was to intake some of your questions to see kind of where your thoughts were, where your thinking is kind of broadly about Windows 11, what you thought of the product, and then take some time to actually come in and answer some of those questions, kind of speak to the evolution of Windows 11 a little bit. And then, of course, we have some usual housekeeping type stuff that we need to go through. So before we jump into the questions, I'm going to do what's called a bookend. So I'm going to bring up the presentation real quick. We'll cover the housekeeping stuff at the beginning and the end in case people join or leave during the session. I want to make sure that everybody has a chance to see this. It's going live right now.
Sorry, that was a delayed response. I'm so excited.
Okay, transition. Here it goes. Yes, we are finally. I'm waiting for it to actually show up for folks out there. This is really hilarious the way that it scales to the screen, because you can still see part of me in the background, which is just super duper funny.
Yeah, I can see your bicep.
I don't like, this doesn't make sense. Hold on, let me.
Whatever, ship it.
There we go. Problem solved. Transition done. Working on the fly. See, this is how you troubleshoot. This is troubleshooting in production. I thought you weren't supposed to develop like this. All right. So obviously this is the August 2021 webcast. So Eddie, if you could flip to the next slide. There's really only like 4 slides here, right? There's this big production just to get this up. The first thing we wanted to touch base on is, if you haven't seen this in the newsletter, or if you aren't on Twitter, one of the really cool things that our counterparts over in marketing have been putting together is this fantastic Inside Windows 11 series. And what these are videos that discuss the introduction of Windows 11 into the Windows Insider program. There is a special video and announcement from Panos, which, as you can see, a screen clip that I snagged and put in here. What you will see across this page is a series of videos from folks who actually worked on the features that made it into Windows 11. So whether it is touch and input, or it is start menu, or taskbar, or accessibility related changes, the list keeps going. There are a ton of really good videos that kind of dig into some of the behind the scenes information, and you get to really like have some of those like visuals of the folks who worked so hard during the duration of the creation of Windows 11 to bring this to you. So take that note down. It's aka.ms/inside Windows 11, 11 being the numerals 11. bookmark that, save it, open up in your browser, and check it out later. We don't want you to, miss out on the rest of the webcast. So with that, we will jump to the next slide, Eddie. And so for anybody who's out there who's new to the Windows Insider program, we have a community. We want you to know that, number one, thanks for finding the webcast. We're glad to have you here and attending with us. If you aren't on Twitter and you want to check us out there, we are at twitter.com/Windows Insider. What you'll see mostly there are build updates and notifications. You will also see conversations happening between folks on the Windows Insider team, folks from various teams around Microsoft. They come in and join the conversations. And then feedback links, bug tracking, all kinds of fun stuff happens there. And then, of course, as we release new builds and new bugs pop up, part of what we do there is actually have some of those conversations. So lots of good stuff happening on Twitter. Next up is the Answers platform that Microsoft hosts, which is a traditional community style forum, answers.microsoft.com. We are the Windows Insider program. We have our own sub-forum there. This is community-based support. This is a great place for what I would call long-form troubleshooting. So we do attempt to try and assist with some troubleshooting on Twitter, but given the fast-paced nature of the platform, things can get lost, things can get missed. It's just the nature of, a super fast social platform. On the Answers forum, you're creating posts. There's the historical list of posts, folks trying to help out, so you actually have that long-form transaction history to see what all's been done, what you should do next. And then, of course, with folks all around the world chiming in, not everybody's in the same time zone, so it's actually a good way to get information, and then you can check back kind of at a slower pace to make sure that you've caught all the details, that you didn't potentially miss a tweet that came in from somebody halfway around the world at 4 o'clock in the morning while you were sleeping. Something like that. There are Microsoft moderators on the platform, and then some of the employees, such as myself and Eddie and Jen and others, pop in from time to time, so you'll see us in there as well. And then last but not least, we have a YouTube channel. And so you will see an intro series of videos about the Windows Insider program. Marketing quite frequently releases sizzle videos of new features that are coming out. There's a bunch of Windows 11 content that's on there, and then we'll do other program-based announcements in video format as well. And then for the webcast that we host, just like this one today, even though getting the PowerPoint up didn't go quite as expected, we do host our past webcasts on the YouTube platform. We just post the videos, and then you can go check them out at any point in time. And I will say this, like for Jen, it's not on here, but I do want to give a shout out.
I was gonna say, I'm so glad we're in sync.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely, right? It's not a, I guess it's not more one of the quote unquote formal channels, but Jen does a ton of support and communications on Reddit. Jen, do you want to give a plug for Reddit real quick?
Yeah, I was just gonna say we do have the Windows Insiders subreddit, as well as a Windows 11 subreddit. I say we, it's not run by us, it's run by the community. The moderators there are pretty awesome, but you will see some of us popping in here and there as well to say hi as people share their feedback and whatnot.
Excellent. All right, Eddie, one more slide. This is the one that's going to catch people off guard. Yo.
We also have a Windows Insider Instagram, which I love because I'm a visual. I love visual and pictures, as well as Facebook, which a few people in the chat said they kind of found the program through Facebook too. So lots of different sometimes. we expanded recently just to make sure that we can kind of touch all the different socials that people love. We haven't convinced Jason yet to go on TikTok, but we are working really hard on it. I want to see that happen in this next year. It's in my personal goals for 2021 that, Jason and maybe my kids kind of figure out a nice TikTok dance that related to insiders, but haven't convinced them to go down that road yet. We'll work on it.
Oh my goodness.
I was really saying, when we first announced Windows 11, I went on Reddit and there was immediately a Windows 11 subreddit that someone had created. And I was like, wow, you're fast. And then I discovered that, actually, they weren't fast. Someone, I guess when they created the Windows 10 subreddit, they created, Windows 10 all the way to, Windows 20 or something. Hey, whatever works. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, with the jump from 8 to 10, I mean, if somebody had planned on 9, who knew what was coming? So,
You know what
might
they
as well
say.
might as well be prepared, right?
It's 7, 8, 9.
Seriously. So silly. Oh my goodness. And then here's this other one, YouTube, right? There's already a few comments in the chat because the slide is up. Yes, we will be shifting over to YouTube for our webcasts. Why? Why is a really good question. With all of the work that our marketing counterparts are doing with content publication and putting really good information on the YouTube channel, it has just become a natural shift point that we decided to make to actually host the webcast there. Historically on Twitch, when we do a webcast, the media is stored for a couple weeks and then it disappears. So one of the pieces of process that we have in place is to go and download the video from Twitch and then go upload it to YouTube. So there ends up being, it's not overly difficult, but there ends up being extra work on our side to go pull the videos and, cut them and then actually get them put up on YouTube. So we've decided to kind of shortcut that process a little bit. And we will just simply start hosting them live on YouTube when we do them month by month. So for reference, there is the AKA link there. It's aka.ms/WIP webcast. As part of that, because currently it does link to the Twitch channel we have here. Starting here at the beginning of September, we will repoint that URL. Since it is a redirect URL, we will point it to the YouTube channel. And then when we go live, if you just have bookmarked that or click that link, it'll bring you straight to our broadcast on YouTube.
Ooh.
All right. Next slide, Eddie, please. And this is a quick plug for the podcast. You will see my and Jen's smiling faces up in the corner. That's actually the banner on the podcast page. There is the Windows Insider podcast. We release new episodes each month. We cover a ton of topics, anything from Windows, all kinds of stuff from Microsoft, technology in general, and we even expand outside of that to talk about things such as careers and internships and all kinds of fun stuff along the way. Lots of really good information. The past few episodes, we actually have those in the bubbles there. We talked about bringing Windows 11 to insiders. The July episode. Yeah, the July episode was about the design of Windows 11 and how some of that came to life. If you were listening back in June, it was actually an episode called You Are What You Deploy. We actually had some folks from the deployment on to talk about some of the work that they've done in their space over the previous year. Lots of really good information. You get to hear directly from developers working on these products, product managers, and then even sometimes leaders and executives here at Microsoft. So it's a really good opportunity to hear from the folks working behind the scenes on some of your favorite features and products that come out from Microsoft. Again, another short URL that you can bookmark and check it out each month. That is aka.ms/WIP podcast. We do try to release on the first Wednesday of each month if you're looking for the schedule. Occasionally, if there's something that conflicts, it might jump to the second week, but most of the time we are on track and on schedule. And I will just give a quick heads up. We just finished recording the September edition yesterday, so that will come out on September 1st. So save that bookmark and be ready for that next episode. Eddie, I think there's one more slide. At least I think there is. Am I right? Am I wrong? Yes.
Yep.
Okay. And this is one of the really important housekeeping notes. Check your channel. So each time we release content into the insider channels, if there's going to be a notable shift along the way, we always try to draw people's attention to it. And so with Windows 11, we had a notable shift where we've had a ton of people join in. And initially, the Windows 11 preview builds were available in the dev channel. And so we had a bunch of people join into the dev channel to begin previewing those builds, which is great. We love having new folks join. We're happy to have them be part of the community. But there is a difference between the dev channel and the beta channel. And the Windows 11 preview builds are now available in the beta channel. So this becomes a question of, from a long-term perspective, what is a user's individual expectations of what they want to get out of the Insider program? What type of build quality are you looking for? Are you looking to be on cutting edge future dev developments? Do you want to be on the current, more stable version where you're previewing more quality updates and things of that nature? So take the time to do a little research. Do you want to be in dev? Do you want to be in beta? Are you looking to be in release preview and super safe? We actively encourage, and as you can see in this screenshot here, it is recommended that folks start in the beta channel. You can jump channels if you would like, but there is some special sauce that kind of wraps around the dev channel to make sure, because dev channel often gets forward-looking development builds, and if you are in that channel and you are on a forward build, which may or may not ever be released to the public, it is just continuous active development, you potentially have to clean flash your device to roll back to either the beta channel, release preview channel, or even to a current retail build. So we happen to be in a point in time right now where the dev channel and beta channel have the same builds. So you can jump between those quite seamlessly, which is part of the reason we are actively encouraging folks, especially those new to the program who may not be aware of that difference, to double check the beta channel, make sure that that's where they want to be. If you do want to be in the dev channel, you can stay there, or you can switch to the beta channel and you can jump to the dev channel whenever you would like. You do have that flexibility. We're just trying to drive awareness because a lot of folks join the program and may not be fully informed on some of those differences and how they kind of play out long term. Amanda, Eddie, Brandon, Jen, I think I covered that pretty well. Did I miss any of the important details?
No, it's great. Great framing to think about.
Yeah, I mean, I've had people ask me before. They're like, "But don't you want people to be like on the very latest thing to give the very the feedback closest to what's changing?" And I guess my answer is, of course. Like, if you want to be on the dev channel, like that's where I would choose to be. Like, I love getting this stuff like as soon as I can get my hands on it. But as Jason said, especially if you're new to the Insider program, it's probably better to start with beta because the builds will typically be a little bit more stable. And when you go into dev, you don't always have you're in dev. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think what we'll see a little bit too with the Insider program is, as we've had some more folks join, we just want to make sure that we're just educating folks on, to your point, what the options are, and make sure that everyone kind of knows some of these things that we might assume that everybody knows. We just want to make sure we're educating folks. To your point, I know I have devices on all the different channels. So we don't expect anything like that with insiders, but we just want to make sure that there were.
What was the thing? What was it? A few months ago, or maybe it was many months ago. Time's a blur. But we had the conversation where we were like, at the time we didn't have regular content on Twitter that we posted about like the rings and feedback and the program as a whole, and we had all these insiders that joined who weren't as familiar as people who've been. I know some of the people in the chat said that they were day one insiders, and we want to make sure that people who are newer to the program are welcomed and understand how it goes and whatnot. So we do have those Twitter posts now that we do.
Yes, indeed. So stay tuned. You'll see this in the newsletter. You'll see some information going on social as reminders. So for any of you who are out there, either on the Answers Forum or on Twitter or Reddit or elsewhere, if you happen to be part of a Windows Insider community on a different forum or somewhere else across the internet, if you could help us spread that message just to make sure folks are in the place that they want to be, that would be fantastic. We're doing everything we can to try to get the word out. So with that, let's jump into the questions. There was a ton that were submitted. As you can imagine, when you kind of open up a broad base of send us your questions and thoughts, the variety of things that show up are very diverse and...
Have you met Bill Gates?
I know, right? There's always fun stuff that shows up. Some of the stuff we'll get to cover, some of the stuff we can't cover. That's pretty prototypical, though. So with that, I'm just going to read off the first question and we're going to jump right in. And it's actually kind of a little bit of a piggyback on what we were just talking about. And don't forget, there were a bunch of folks who submitted what would be, in essence, classified as the same question, just different ways of wording it, whatnot. So we condensed them into kind of buckets of questions. So the first one being, which insider channel is more stable? And that was really what we were just talking about a moment ago. And it's really in the order that you'll see them show up in the settings menu. If you want the closest thing from a most stable perspective, release preview is it. Beta is much more stable than dev, depending on where we are in a cycle, if they have the same builds or if dev is off and running on potential, future development work. But I would say for the vast majority of the discussion point of really the heart of what that question is asking, dev is going to be on that forward leaning edge, the furthest off into the development weeds with potentially the most bugs and, areas of, hey, we're showing off things that we're working on. Maybe this will make it into a product. Maybe it won't. That kind of fun stuff. So definitely it's in the same order that you'll see it. Dev would be classified as most risky. Release preview would be the safest option, with beta being right there in the middle. Brandon, I'm going to throw this question over your direction. So we got a bunch of questions about this one. And it was, will legacy apps support the new Windows 11 design?
So app developers app developers that are building Win32 apps, et cetera, they can take advantage of some of the new UI improvements in Windows. And there's some documentation on Microsoft Docs. I'll have to find the link. I didn't have it handy. But definitely they will be able to adopt some of the visuals that are in Windows 11.
Some of that's with
so,
Samuel Islands, right?
Yep. So we're providing a lot of documentation, more and more documentation is being added to Microsoft Docs. So for app developers, there's definitely a lot of opportunity for them to update their apps to take advantage of the new visuals in Windows 11 and make their app look really nice in Windows 11. And we're starting to see some of that already, which is really exciting.
Excellent. And I'm going to, in the same vein, there was another bucket of questions we got that were similar in nature that I'm going to toss your way as well, which was, when will the first party apps get updated with the new UX designs?
Yeah, so sorry, can you rephrase that? I was reading the chat and got distracted.
No, it's okay. When will the first party apps get updated with the new UX designs?
Yeah, we are working really hard to update many of our first party apps, or what we call inbox apps, the apps that are included in Windows 11. You've seen a lot of you've seen the most recent releases with the snipping tool and calculator and clock. We're working on MS Paint. That'll get a visual redesign with a lot more on the way. And you should look at Planos to tweet and show off some of these in the coming weeks as we work really hard to update these apps. Not everything will happen over, not everything will be updated right away. It will happen in pockets, and various apps will be updating themselves over time. But we're working really hard to update all these apps. And looking at the questions in the chat, yes, there are some legacy apps in Windows that aren't going to get updated. Those will naturally, over the course of time, we will look at whether or not we need to update more as we look at usability and usage of these apps. That determines the priority of like what gets updated, et cetera, et cetera.
Awesome. So that kind of answers kind of the third bucket of this same vein of question, right? Which is, will all of the apps get the update? And it sounds like there's some prioritization exercises and things of that nature that'll be taking place as we continue moving forward.
That's correct. Yeah, we're everything isn't happening in one major swoop, but over time we will be updating lots and lots of our inbox apps to make them look really, really wonderful and awesome on Windows 11. And I'm really excited about that. Especially the MS Paint looks amazing.
Hey, I just like that new little feature in the Alarms app, that little focus feature. That was pretty cool. Like, I hadn't
Focus
dug
sessions?
into it. Yeah, and thank you for the name. This is the problem, is like I missed some of the naming pieces. I was actually having a chat with one of the Windows Insider MVPs, Jeremy, and he was like, "Man, have you used this yet?" And I was like, "I know it's there, but I haven't had time to poke around on it." He's like, "Man, you should give it a shot." And I went there and was, kind of messing around with it. And it's really cool. It's like it's some of these little surprise delighters of things that are changing that aren't part of my workflow. When I do discover them and I can find the way to actually integrate them, it's a lot of fun. It's going to help redefine the way that I get things done.
You need a focus session to help you learn about focus sessions. That's what you need.
The irony, right? You're like, let me use the feature to learn how to use the feature.
Inception moment.
I know, right? Another bucket of questions that came in is in relation to not everyone jumped to Windows 11. And so there is the question out there of how can a user, participant in the Windows Insider program, still be a good insider while running Windows 10 preview builds? Amanda, I'm going to throw that one your way.
Okay. Windows 10 is still very much a big part of what we're working on in terms of, the releases that are going out there into the release preview channel. And so we really we have a really healthy audience in the release preview channel, and making sure that, we are validating those new features that we're going to go bring down from Windows 11 to Windows 10, and making sure that those previews work best for everyone. So we definitely still have opportunities to preview Windows 10 updates within the release preview channel for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's an immediate kind of follow-up question that just popped in the chat is, will you still release Windows 10 builds into the future?
Absolutely. Yeah, we're doing it right now. So right now you can participate with preview builds to the release preview channel for Windows 10. And there's lots of opportunities that are still there for sure.
Yeah. And I'll extend on that point just a little bit. The support window for Windows 10 extends into the future, right? Windows 11 is still in preview. It hasn't hit kind of broad market availability. So it would be we would be silly to not keep working on Windows 10, given the number of customers that are still running that product, how they'll be running it into the future, and then even stepping outside of what you would consider kind of the typical like home or retail user and looking at kind of the enterprise and commercial customer base who run the Windows OS in their environments. They tend to have longer planning windows. So it takes them longer to kind of lift and shift over from one version of Windows to another. And with the redesign of Windows 11 and some of the notable changes that have happened between 10 to 11, it's great that we have enterprises in the Windows Insider program. Many of them have already started running preview builds and trying to map out some of what their roadmap is going to look like, how they're going to migrate some of their enterprise applications and things of that nature. So there is definitely a long transition period. This isn't just we flip the switch and Windows 10 disappears out of the Insider program. Absolutely not. So, Amanda, thanks you for all those details. And, if any of the folks that are tuned in right now, if you are, in the WIP for business side of things and you're running this in your commercial or enterprise organization, know that those builds are still coming and you'll still have a chance to preview those along the way. Let's see here. So this is interesting. I don't need to cover this question, but I'm going to do it anyway just because it was so popular. It was, when is Windows 11 going to show up in the beta channel? Windows 11 is now in the beta channel. When we initially asked for some of these questions submissions and hadn't quite made it there, we kind of announced that it was going to, but of course it was a really big thing of, hey, when's it going to show up? When's it going to show up? And so it is there. If like we talked about earlier with the being sure of which channel you would like to be in based upon potential future builds that are coming and whatnot. Do a little homework on the beta channel if you're not there, see if it's the place for you, and then you can continue running those builds along the way. All right, another really fun question is when will we be able to get the Windows 11 Insider Preview ISOs? Well, really good news. We launched them last week. They were released on Thursday. At long last, the build that is out there, Eddie, correct me if I'm wrong on this one. It's 22000.132, I believe, is the ISO that we released.
Yep, that's correct.
Okay, everybody's giving me thumbs up. Okay, good. There's so many build numbers that fly around internally. Sometimes I have to stop and kind of, it feels like I'm muddling my way through, but I want to make sure I'm giving out the right information. So that build is available. You can download it. We have the ISOs that are configured both for, you'll see them on the list for dev and beta channels on our ISO page. And then we do still have a release preview ISO out there if a user for that channel decides that they need one or would like to roll directly onto those builds. I'm going to type in chat for just a moment. I'm putting the link in here, aka.ms/WIP-ISO. That is the link to go and grab the ISOs. So if you decide that you need one, whether you want to install cleanly on a new machine or you want to reformat a device that you already have, whatever purpose you may be using it for, you'll log in to that website with your email or your account that is registered to the Insider program. And you'll have access. You can choose the various editions. We have the Pro and Home SKUs. We have the Enterprise Edition. We have the China Home SKU. Lots of options, lots of languages. So pop on that site and select whichever one may be the right one for you.
And if you do use an ISO, quick plug, we love feedback about the Ubi experience. With Windows 11, we did a lot of work to improve the design of Ubi, including adding the ability to name your device during Ubi, which was a popular feedback request. So if you do take the time to run through it, please let us know if you have any issues, if you encounter any issues with the experience. I believe the context to file feedback about it is install and update initial out-of-box experience. But I can fact check myself and put that into the chat. But if you file feedback there, it should have the right logs in order to investigate the issues you encounter.
You nailed it, Jen. I did a quick
Jen, sorry, Jason, I had a question. I'm new to the Windows Insider program. What does Ubi mean? I know Amanda answered it in the chat, but it won't show up in the recording. So,
good point. Thank you.
Yeah, so Ubi stands for out of box experience, and that basically means when you buy a new PC and you open the box and you boot Windows, you boot up your PC for the first time, it's the experience you walk through. So internally we call it Ubi, but externally you'll probably see out of box experience or initial out of box experience.
Fantastic. And yeah, I think I said this a moment ago, but I kind of chatted over at the same time with Eddie. And it is in the feedback hub. The context is under the install and update context, and the secondary category is initial out-of-box setup. So good memory, Jen. But I know you see enough feedback that you probably have the whole tree memorized at this point.
I have a lot of the. So what you see is what users see is the name most likely, but obviously the name is localized depending on the language that you're speaking. So I have a lot of the IDs for like back-end feedback triage. I'll triage by ID sometimes, and we do it as a team looking at the feedback all together, and they'll be like, "Don't you need? What do you mean context ID 67? What the heck?"
That's funny.
Don't worry about it. It's just this is where we need to look right now.
Oh my goodness. Some of the nuanced things that you learn and are super important that, you step outside the world of Microsoft and it's like, well, context IDs don't really mean much, but like in your day job, it is like super important and it makes your life a lot easier to know these things. It's all relevant context, right?
Yeah. We could go down a rat hole here. So I know you have a lot of questions to go through.
Thanks, Jen. So next up on the list, there was another bucket. Most of the people submitted the same question. This was one of the most popular questions that was submitted. And Amanda, I'm going to pick on you again if I can. And that was, when will Windows 11 be generally available to non-insiders?
I don't think they've officially announced a date.
I believe it's holiday this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
We don't have an official date. Yes, so there's no official date yet, but holiday of this year.
Fantastic. All right. So, next up here, this is going to be a fun one. And I'm actually going to throw this to both Jen and Eddie, because I know y'all both work in this space, and I would love to hear both of your takes on this particular question. And it's going to seem super obvious because we feel like we talk about this a bunch, but again, there are a bunch of new folks in the program who don't necessarily have the historical experience on this. And so the question is, I'm having an issue with Windows 11. How do I report it? Jen, take it away.
Yeah. So I've made a few memes about this, but like, if you're ever to ask me, well, first of all, how do I report it? The Feedback Hub is the official place where we track both problems and suggestions for both Windows 10 and Windows 11. The Feedback Hub is one of the apps that come with Windows. If you press the Windows key plus F, it will actually launch you immediately into the form for filing feedback. And that's where we recommend people report their stuff. That said, we do have a very active community of insiders that discuss their feedback in social media. And so if you file feedback in the Feedback Hub, it is actually possible to share a link to your feedback on social media as well. So if you ever, if you want to tag the Windows Insider handle or one of our handles to share the feedback link, you are totally welcome to do that as well. Yeah, that's sort of, I think I answered the question.
Yeah, just to piggyback on what Jen said, yeah, the Feedback Hub is a place. There's, if you're not sure how to file feedback, aka.ms how to feedback. The link is in chat. For those who want to just click it and check it out. Yeah, by all means, that is the place everything is tracked. We always want you to put it there first and foremost. Once you file it, share a link if you feel you want to get our attention. Like what Jen said, there's Reddit, answers forum, tag us on any of the social channels, and we'll pick it up from there.
You are muted.
Yeah, I caught it right. I was like, I'm reaching for the button right as you're saying it. It's one of those things.
Favorite game.
Yeah, I was
how can we
responding
catch someone doing that?
It was a legacy mute. It's a funny for everybody out in the audience. There's this thing in Teams, right, where somebody will raise a hand because it lets other folks on the call know that you want to ask a question, or you potentially mute yourself or whatnot. And so we just have this funny way of referring to it, where when somebody forgets to take down their hand in the virtual environment in Teams, or if they forget to unmute themselves, we now call it the legacy hand raise or the legacy mute. It's just this funny thing we have going internally. It's good times, and every time it's like somebody will do it and they'll unmute and be like, "It was a legacy mute," and everybody just chuckles. It happens so frequently. It's become its own virtual meme inside Microsoft. Oh, goodness. All right. So there was obviously a lot of feedback related questions. And so there was another one that we did want to cover here. And it's kind of a direct question. And, we don't always shy away from the hard stuff. So I'm going to drop this one in here. And the question being, there are many feedback items uploaded in the Feedback Hub for Windows that may not get responses to the inquiries. Or they didn't get an official response. I know it's difficult given, the volume that comes in, trying to go through all of them, but it's potential that something important might get missed out on. Are there other modes through which people can reach out to provide feedback? We'll just then append a question mark on the end of that.
Yeah.
Jen and Eddie, I'd love to hear your takes on that one.
Go ahead, Jen.
I mean, we already mentioned that you're welcome to share your feedback with us on social media. There's this person on Reddit the last week who they were like, hey, I was using the Feedback Hub. I noticed there are a few duplicate posts. Feedback Hub doesn't currently let me report them as duplicates. Can I just share them with you? And I was like, sure. So I think he or she or they has like 5 times now shared buckets of feedback for us to go and put into collections.
Oh yeah.
Which is really nice of them. But yeah, I mean, I guess I would say, like, you know, we have a large amount of feedback every single day that comes into the team. And we spend a lot of time triaging the feedback. And, you know, it's always this evaluation of, I want to put responses on as much as I can, but also, like, I want to spend time investigating the feedback so that I can make progress on the incoming reports and requests. So it's a balance. I know everyone wants more responses, and that's something we talk about a lot. And it's a balance too, because like right now, you know, the way we do responses, I think I've mentioned it before. It requires something that we call a feedback parent, which is just like a back-end construct for grouping the feedback. And so, you know, we debate between like, well, I could put a bunch of feedback into a response saying like, we really need additional logs in order to investigate that. But then like the response isn't as customized to the individual problem that the user might have encountered. So it's like speed versus I do like when we resolve stuff, that's my favorite part. Going into the feedback hub and like marking all the stuff is fixed when each new flight goes out.
It's great when you actually get your own response, isn't it? When you it's like you get your pop-up notification that says, "Hey, this item's been fixed," and we're like, "Oh wait, I put that in there." That's a great thing.
Every team is different. I mean, there are a ton of it. I guess I'm probably known for my responses in the feedback hub. There are a ton of people who both triage and respond. Is such as me, that would be way too much for me. But one of the at least as for me personally, like, you know, as I said, I only have so much time to respond. I tend to pick the ones where I could say something really actionable. Like, you know, if they're asking for this feature and we have this other feature that does something like that, but it's not exactly like what they're asking for, I'd probably prioritize that response over just saying, thank you for the feedback. Because to me, like, I don't know, I like being able to give you something that will make your lives better in the short term. But yeah, just personal preference. I agree. I would love to have more responses in the feedback hub too. I would just say, like, even if you don't have a personal response, we are looking at the feedback every single day. We're discussing it every single day. Especially, you know, right now with us, you know, wanting to make Windows 11 the best it can be, like every single bug that comes in, you know, there's this question of like, how much feedback did we get? What was the feedback? Like, what was the response? What's the impact? All that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah, I want to add one quick thing on top of there too, and we kind of tend to forget this. We do ask people to share with us on social media. If for whatever reason you can't seem to find us, can't remember our handle, there's also MVPs out there too. Reach out to our MVPs because they may actually be able to take your feedback and say, oh, I've seen this with a lot of other people. They may be able to actually help you with an issue you're having, if it's especially with like getting updates when they get stuck. I know I've seen like Jeremy, for example, has helped folks quite a few times, and a handful of other of our MVPs have helped out too. So yeah, reach out to them as well. Because they have a kind of a direct link back to us to bring critical feedback. So yeah, reach out to them too.
Someone in the chat just asked too, like, how many upvotes do I need to have on my feedback to be recognized? And like, that's not, I mean, there are a lot of different pivots we use when looking at feedback, and we respond to stuff that has 1 and 2, and even like a lot of the big collections that you see to this day, like we've gone through and we've looked through, you know, 100 pieces of feedback with 1 upvote to make that 100 upvote collection. So, yeah.
I think there was a question too from Raphael about, has the retention policy change gone into effect? And I believe it did a week or 2 ago. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Something like that. There was a notice about it in the feedback hub about the policy changes.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, I think it was in early August. for a second.
Yes, indeed. We're already at the top of the hour. It always seems like these webcasts disappear before like we get through everything that we want to go through. And it didn't help that it took a little bit of unplanned triage to get the PowerPoint up earlier. So like there was a couple more questions that I wanted to tackle and go through, but I think we'll probably just end up doing those on social. We'll throw them on the Windows Insider Twitter handle. You don't even have to be registered for Twitter to read some of those. You can just visit the site and actually see some of the content. So I will put, or if I could, I don't know, get Eddie. Eddie, would you put a link to our Twitter handle in the chat so folks can reference it, and we can all kind of just respond back on that. I do want to be respectful of everybody's time. I will say, like, one of the fun ones that we were going to get to answer is, what has been your favorite insider moment ever? It's going to be a blast responding to that one. Mine's going to take several tweets to actually get it all out. So it may not be as succinct as it would be in video format, but, it'll be good to walk down memory lane and share some of that.
You can do a video. Just do
hey.
a little video clip of it and you can answer it that way.
Amanda, I'm not making a TikTok.
Come on. Do it.
I know where she's going with this. I don't even have to pretend. Like, I know where this is headed. And that little guilty, smirky smile thing that she's doing right now, it's like,
I know.
I'm onto you.
I tried.
Eddie, if I could trouble you to bring that PowerPoint up back one more time real quick. I do want to, I said I was going to bookend this webcast with those. It was a little dramatic on the front end, but we'll be much more efficient here doing it on the closing side.
Of course I closed it.
Of course you did.
Of course I did. You're trying to save cycles, right?
It's just how it goes sometimes. It's okay.
Give me 1 second.
Yes, indeed. I will say this. Stay tuned later this month for the next edition of the Windows Insider newsletter. It is compiled by our fantastic pals over in marketing. We contribute a lot of great content to those newsletters, including what will be the date for the next webcast, which will be towards the end of September. That date is in there. I'm not going to tell you because I want you to read the newsletter. So when that shows up in your email account that is registered to the Windows Insider program, do look for that. And do remember, which we will cover here when the presentation comes back up, whenever Eddie's computer has it available, that it will be on YouTube. So I will type it in chat one more time, aka.ms/webcast.
Almost there.
And that will, right now it points to the Twitch channel, but it will point to the YouTube channel before the next webcast goes live in September. That is already on my to-do list. I already have a calendar reminder for it and everything. That's how everything gets done, is my calendar reminders. Read the newsletter and flight blog post. Yes, Tegosaurus Rex. Absolutely. That's where all the great information is. Any luck, Eddie?
It's Teams is chugging. Trying to get to the share screen.
Whatever machine you were doing that on, we're going to have to get you a different one. Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, I know. Yeah, this is a... All right.
It's trying. I can see it trying over here.
It's coming. Coming right along.
I've got the purple screen showing. There we go. All right. Transition and show this back up. I'm going to skip the pretty intro slide. Remember, we have the Inside Windows 11 series, which is all kinds of awesome videos and links to material that's been put together from the managers, the PMs, developers, designers, folks who worked on the product, things that were developed for Windows 11. So grab that link, aka.ms/inside Windows 11, 11 being the numerals 11. Grab that link, check those videos out. Next slide, Eddie. Don't forget the community-based options that are available for those of you out there, twitter.com/Windows Insider, and then answers.microsoft.com. And then, of course, our YouTube channel, which you can hit directly by going to aka.ms/WIP YouTube. And I would be remiss if I didn't call out that we also have an Instagram channel and a Facebook page as well. Windows Insider on both of those platforms. And last, we have 2 more slides, Eddie. Next one should be a reminder about going to YouTube next month. I did just post that in chat. So go ahead and bookmark that and make sure that you are joining the right platform when we broadcast next month. And then last but not least, the Windows Insider Podcast, aka.ms/WIP podcast. You can check out all the historical episodes. They're all linked there. And if you do like to subscribe to podcasts, they are available on every major platform. So Spotify, Apple, directly on Libsyn if you're on that platform, or you can just go straight to our website and tune in there. And if you do prefer to kind of read through podcasts, or you like using the transcripts, we do have those published there as well. We've got both ends covered, both the audio and the text side of things. And then one final reminder, Eddie, last slide there. Check your channel. Make sure that you know the differences between dev beta and release preview. If you need any of that information, you can find it on our website, insider.windows.com. It'll provide all the details, all those insights. We do recommend beta channel being the starting place. Then you are free to kind of explore and change from there, and figure out how you want your Insider experience to look in the future. With that, I'll open it up to the panel here. Jen, Eddie, Brandon, Amanda, number one, thank you all for making the time to come and join us once again. These are always super fun. I love doing these. Any parting words, any last bit of information you want to share before we wrap up for the day?
Nope. I'm set.
Eddie?
Said
We'll
my
go
piece.
we'll go counterclockwise. Eddie, he gave you the smile. You good?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks. I just want to thank everybody for coming out and submitting the questions. Appreciate it.
Excellent. Brandon gave a thumbs up, and he's shining a light in his own face. I'm not really sure what he's doing over there.
No, it's my bad. I was showing off my little visitor
No,
badge.
it's
from Star Trek
invisible.
Picard.
Teams doesn't like it.
Yeah, Teams is blurring it out. Oh, is it a Star Trek visitor badge?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Oh, that's
That's
super fun. All right. Amanda, final words are yours. Anything you want to share?
No, I've been really, it's been a lot of fun the last couple of weeks, just honestly reviewing the feedback, sharing it with our leadership team, like just screenshots and everything else. Like I've never had so much kind of excitement from people with both the suggestions as well as some of the things that they like. Just the incredible energy that it's given the team of hearing what folks like and what they could like a little bit more. And so it's really been engaging and exciting. And I want to thank everybody for the participation so far. It's been really unique learning opportunity.
Awesome. With that, I will show this one slide. For participating. Thank you for all who are in the audience and attended and shared your time with us today. We look forward to hearing more feedback about Windows 11, about these webcasts, anything related to the program. We're always all ears, and thank you for being there, because of the Insider program, we have you, and without you, we wouldn't have a program. So thank you for your time. Thank you for all your effort, and we'll catch you next month.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.